Okay, I think we're live now. Hey guys, hi everybody. Welcome to Web3 Africa's workshop series. We had a good time last month with the founder of Bread Africa, where we talked about building P2P WhatsApp bots with Bread APIs. For this workshop series, we are looking into AI agents and more the part of AI agent and all the AI conversations that deal with identity. And I brought the builders of Attest Protocol to chat about attestations and how that can be an important infrastructure to verifying AI agents on chain. So, if you're joining us, that's what we're going to be talking about. And my name is Koa, and this is what Africa Workshop Series. So I'm excited as you guys are because I'm looking forward to learn. All right, I'm looking forward to learn from this and also look into how we can handle attestations and stuff on chain. All right, we'll be bringing the speakers up right now. But before I do that, we have about 7 people watching. Drop a comment. Let me see if we can get to 10 viewers before I bring up the speakers. All right, we're at 9 viewers. All right, 10 viewers. Very cool. All right, drop your comments. Let me know you guys where you're watching from. Web3 Africa is all over Africa, right? Where are you guys watching from? Let me know in the comment section. So reply, drop a comment. What do I say? Okay. Tell me where you're watching from, which part of Africa, which part of the world are you seeing this from? Let me know. We're live. Okay. All right. It seems you guys. All right. Okay. Let me bring up the speakers right now and let me just do that. Hello. Hey, Andrew.
Hello,
Hey, Mercy. I'm very happy to have you guys on the series today, the workshop series. Uh, I know we have viewers that are very excited to learn about attestations and stuff. So I'm looking forward to this conversation as much as they are. I will start by introduce yourself and what you do at attestations at Attest Protocol. Sorry, and anything you want to add on top of that, please do. Who wants to go first? Anybody can go first.
ladies first.
All right, Mercy, you want to try?
All right. Hi. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Mercy Thaddeus, and I'm a software engineer and an AI educator. Um, on Attest, I do a couple of things on Attest Protocol, but primarily as I work as a front end engineer. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, cool.
Nice. Well, I'm
Uh,
Andrew,
yeah,
and
yeah, Andrew.
lead researcher at the Attest Protocol, and also the founder of DACRED, which is a blockchain research firm working on credentials, immutable identity, and transparency on the blockchain.
Okay, I think you might want to move closer to. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I feel your volume was kind of low, so maybe that's people don't have problem hearing. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm very happy to meet you guys, and I'm looking forward to learn about attestations and stuff from this conversation. So, attest protocol, attestations. Uh,
yes.
I'm curious I know I've read a bit about it before the live stream, and I know that's not all about attestations. I know, boy. For the people like joining us to, and this is probably their first time hearing about attestations. What would you say attestations is, and what is it? How should they understand it?
Well, attestations are a well-known construct in the legal industry, but when you transfer some of that to the blockchain, the same meaning implies it pretty much is a statement. That is what an attestation is. At the core of the rubric attestation is a statement. However, attestations are not just simple statements. They are a statement of a fact, or a statement of proof, or a statement of uh, maybe a collateral. And it's pretty much saying, in other words, it's pretty much saying this statement validates this proof, or this statement, actually attestations in itself do not validate the proof or the fact. They're pretty much just a statement. However, attestations as a statement are only as powerful as the individual or the authority that issues the attestation. To make it simple, I could maybe go back to like early Stone Ages, where if you wanted to buy a land, actually, there were really no land registries, there were really no land titles. It was just an individual who makes a statement and say, I own this piece of land. And some other person says, I own this piece of land. However, the transfer of land titles were to be done early 1800s. It was just a ceremony, and the ceremony is conducted by a community, and and what happens is that you have to bring an item that represents the activity that you wanted to perform on the land. So if you wanted to be a farmer, you bring a hoe, a shovel. If you're trying to use the land for, to build a house, you bring a brick, right? And in that primitive layer, they were simply just making a statement that you say, for example, Andrew, intend to use this farm, to use this piece of land to, grow maize or grow cotton. And, I am giving you this shovel as a statement to my stance on the ownership of this property. And so that was pretty much how law and order for ownership of lands, right? So early stages where it was like, yes, this shovel represents this piece of land that will be used to, um, you know, start a farm or grow maize, grow cotton, etc. And you even see it even in the games when you play it, it's still the symbols. When you playing Fortnite or you're playing other games, you find that this a piece of land can be represented based on the activity that you will be performing, and you can get more land and use it for stuff and grow your
Mm,
reputation in the
yeah.
game. So when you bring that forward to when we now have registries, when you have own a land today, there's a registry that puts your name in a register, and the coordinates of the land or the section or the plots that you've been allocated to. And that statement is so strong. It is recognized in the court of law. It is recognized by the government, and is also recognized by businesses and individuals. So when you understand these primitives, or you think about attestations on the blockchain, they're pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that the blockchain is an immutable storage ledger. On the blockchain, when something is written to it, that's it. It will be there for the entirety of our lifetime. Because blockchain gives you transparency, which means you can see everything. Even if you do not understand it, it means you can see it. It gives you immutability, which means you cannot undo an activity or an action on the blockchain, right? So with attestations on the blockchain pretty much bring the benefits of an immutable, transparent ledger to statements of facts that already exist in the real world. I don't know if I did justice to that, but yes.
Okay. I think I have a picture now of what we are talking about. And the other thing that kind of I have a question from something you said. But before I go into that, I want to ask that why does attestations matter today? If Messi wants to pick that up or somebody, why would you say attestation matters today? Because it's we I've seen this pop up in several conversations, and why does that matter today right now?
All right. So I mean, it's obvious because trust and verification are like the biggest friction points in Web3 right now. And like Andrew explained, attestation kind of removes that pain of verification. Because if you think about it, developers spend weeks building custom verification, right? And even businesses lose users because onboarding is complex. Now, it's attestation is not just making things easier for developers, right? It's about building that portable trust because once an asset is verified, that proof is there forever, especially as the blockchain is immutable, right? So instead of saying trust me, your products can say verify me. And the good thing about it is anyone, anywhere, at any point can see it. So that's part of what makes it like very important.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, okay, okay. Cool. And I'm curious as to so you guys are working on attestation and it's about stuff having proof, like proof. I'm curious as to your backgrounds. Why attestations? Why this? Like why is that a problem space you guys are working on? And is there like a background to any of this? Basically I'm asking like what sort of background do you have and how did your journey grow from whatever you're working on previously to working on attestations to fixing the trust layer? So I'm expecting answers from everybody.
Mhm. Interesting. Very interesting question. Um, so like I said, I lead the team at DACRED, which is short for decentralized accreditation. Um, how did we start? Initially, conversations around attestation started when we were researching the EIP for soul-bound tokens, which is early 2022 when NFTs became a thing and they were used as, you know, um, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, were used to attach ownership to assets. That evolution sparked a whole foray of like research into non-token based ownership mechanisms and proof mechanisms. When NFTs came, you could now verify that an individual or a wallet address owns a token. But the problem or the challenge with NFTs at the time was that the NFT in itself had value, right? So the attachment of a value to the token or to the NFT, albeit having a statement, sort of made it hard to use NFTs as a form of proof because the token incentives sometimes overshadow the proof or ownership incentive. And so we pretty much I was an early contributor to discussions around the soulbound VIPs as well, research around that, and finally, soulbound tokens, etc. So it was pretty much just an evolution from there to like working and researching towards this final bit of attestation. It was quite a journey. My background is in maths, data, statistics, and research, so maybe you could say it's probably my calling. But identity and credential is a problem that we all have to deal with today. And, I hope it's something we do solve in our lifetime because there's this popular quote, brilliance is evenly distributed, opportunity is not. Opportunity is a statement, to be honest. It's a sentence, it's a paper. Opportunity is the visa. Opportunity is proof of funds. Opportunity is, your bank statements. Your bank statements today, can it be accepted globally? Your passports today, with the passport number. Opportunity is that. So when you think about it today, the one way we could probably achieve some form of credentialing, decentralize, and maybe create an open standard for proof and verification of statements that will be used globally is, first, adopt the Web3 economy for starters, right? And then figure out a way to make proofs, statements of proof, evidences of proof universally acceptable on a public ledger, right? On the blockchain. And from then on, we can engineer mechanisms on top of it, etc., to eventually have a world where, proof of you doing something, a statement of you doing something is enough to validate, that your capabilities, your capacity, etc. Yes.
Okay. That's an interesting journey. So you have your background is in mathematics, and you made several contributions to the soulbound NFTs, and NFTs itself are based on identity and stuff where things can be all that stuff then transitions into attested protocol. Interesting. Mercy, was it like your background and your journey?
All right, so for me, my first contact with attestation was and identity stuff was with Zik, ZQIC, and that was a project hackathon we worked on together. I worked together on with Andrew. Plus, I have a background because I'm currently working on Hindsight VIP, a blockchain visualization tool. So I've experienced firsthand what verification and identity, how it matters, especially in the blockchain, because we're building a visualization tool. And, at the end of the day, it's all of these things that matter with verification on chain. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for telling us about your background. And I think we start to talk about attestation protocol itself, attest protocol. And um, do you have like do you have slides? You want to show for the demo and for the dive? Or
We never talked about slides.
oh, okay.
I
Uh,
the
you want to share your screen and show us a demo at least of what a test
yeah,
protocol is and how it works? Okay. So I'm
what
just gonna.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay, I see your screen now. So I'm just gonna add it to the stage.
Okay.
All right. Oh, we got a video demo. Okay. So what are we
Yes.
looking at?
So Attest in itself is a primitive infrastructure, right? Um, when you intend to attest to a schema, so there are three core foundational principles behind an attestation. The first foundational principle is the schema. Second foundational principle is the authority, and the third one being the attestation. Attestations are evidence of a statement. However, the evidence in itself is the attestation. The statement is a schema, and the authority is the individual who owns the statement or who authorizes the attestation to a statement. It can be a little bit muddy, but if an attestation is a statement, a simple statement would be, I attended this event. And if you attended this event, there are key details we need to know. Let's say, for example, this verifying agents on the blockchain, this particular webinar, let's say you want to, it became critically important that for some reason, attending this event gives you access to an opportunity, a pack, etc. If you wanted to do that, you would pretty much, you can describe it as saying, okay, I need to prove that I attended this event. And to attest to that means a statement that I, Andrew, attended this event. So some critical questions would be, okay, if you attended this event, we need to know the host of the event, Web3 Africa, the time of the event, and your check-in time. At what time did you log into this call to attend this event, and your checkout time? At what time did you log into this call, check out for this event? So attestations are pretty much just primitives, and it starts with a schema. The schema in itself is the basis for the statement, and we have a online tool that can enable you publish your schema immediately and have it deployed on the blockchain. Once your schema is deployed to a blockchain, you can literally now attest to this schema. Now, on its in itself, you can attest to a schema individually as a person. You know, the evidence of the proof is a burden of the authority. So this is where authorities come in, because you can attest to a schema either through a delegate. You can attest if the schema is not an open schema, but if it is an open schema, you can attest to that schema. Now, which is where authorities come in, because the credibility of an attestation is bound by the authority that deploys the schema. Meaning, yes, you can attest to any schema that is open today. However, attestations as a primitive, an attestation is only as powerful as the authority that deploys the schema. And when you have authorities, a consortium of authorities or delegates, those delegates can essentially either fill out your attestation on your behalf or notarize on your behalf, sign it with their own private key on the blockchain. The signing of that transaction with their private key on the blockchain creates the proof, the evidence. And because of the way the blockchain is, everything has pretty much been done for us as well. Because now you have like private key. Every single wallet address is a public key, private key pair. So it means that when an attestation is signed, that signature in itself and submitted to a blockchain, the signature of the public key that signs the transaction or that signs the attestation is the proof that anybody needs to validate that an attestation is secure, or an attestation is a valid statement. What our platform does is it gives you a way to programmatically interact with attestations and use it as your service. So don't forget, attestations in itself are a primitive, and they're an infrastructure primitive. The infrastructure primitive that can power up, several use cases across the ecosystem, from like AI agent verification, authorization, authentication, to KYC, to zero knowledge KYC, to cyber resistance portals, ensuring that humans are active players in an environment, or humans are active players in a system. And there's so many other use cases. But as a primitive, we provide you with the toolbox and the tooling to use, whether to use it through code or to use it through no code, as our platform supports. So yes, quick TLDR of the Attest protocol in itself. And I could share maybe the website or some
Yeah,
of that
yeah,
later.
yeah. That would be good to see. And also, while you're doing that, you can also talk about like, we're talking about verifying AI agents on chain and identity on chain and
Yes.
stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Attest Protocol is working on the tooling and the stuff that you use to um perform those attestations, to attest to stuff, right? And I want you
Yes.
to quickly tie to what you say about AI agents, and then how that is going to change the paradigm of dealing with the AI agent conversations we have right now and attestations. So while you share your screen on that, that would be nice.
Okay. So if you want to use Attest Protocol today, you can easily just go to attestprotocol.org on our website. You can see our draft white paper there to give you an understanding of the decisions behind Attest Protocol and various use cases. So the use cases are from NFT marketplace to DAO platforms and gaming platforms. Um, you know, So far, financial institutions spend an average of 150 million US dollars annually on KYC processes alone. And you know why? It's because you KYC on one platform, you need to go to the other platform to KYC, and then the next platform to KYC, and the next platform to KYC. And the distribution of that proof is held in centralized services. It's not supposed to be so. On the blockchain, you can have global identity verification proofs. Because usually when you KYC, the platform that tells the company, yes, we KYC, you only puts a signature, a hash, and a proof to validate that your selfie scan plus your ID card checks pass through and that you're a real human. And with a primitive like attestation, you can build KYC protocols on top of it that decentralize and open up the statements of the proofs, and not even the actual data, right? And apart from, the white paper is pretty much robust. You can go through it. But apart from like identity schemas, there's like asset ownership, there's DAO governance, and there's like also credential, academic, professional credentials as well. Attestations, like we said, are a primitive, right? And if you want to learn more about attestation, we try to do a really good job in breaking down, how you can use Attest or Attest Protocol today. It's a public good, which means it's open source as well as a primitive, and so anybody can build on it. Anybody can contribute to the project on GitHub as well. And yeah, anybody can contribute to the project on GitHub as well.
Is that
And
is it part of Oktoberfest? Oktoberfest
yeah, we did not sign
include
up
that.
for Hacktoberfest, yes,
Okay,
this
okay.
period. Yeah. So you can go to the GitHub to explore. And we have SDKs and tools for you to learn how to use it. The Attest Protocol TypeScript SDK that you can use to interact with Attest Protocol. Our documentations try to do a good job about that. And we are always like active. And then you can launch the Explorer too. View all attestation schemas that are available today, as well as other attestations that have been done by individuals. So if you see an attestation, you can validate the attestation information or the record of that attestation today. Who made this attestation? Who owns this attestation? And you can also see your own attestations on the platform. So we make it like really, really simple and easy, straightforward for you to like get going with attestations. Um, yeah. So
You said something about authorities. Can you
yes,
authorities are like
authority,
how to think about them? Yeah.
authorities are a primitive that allow you a primitive of attestations. So attestations in itself as a construct is only as powerful as the authority that verifies the statement. You see, when you attest to a schema or a statement, the public key private key pair is responsible for validating the information or the statement you provide. That authority can be an identity provider like a KYC provider. It can be uh, a DeFi aggregator. It can also be an AI model trainer, an inference server, etc. The authorities are pretty much the middle layer of attestations, because when you have authorities pretty much sign on the statement you make. The authorities put their signature. We do have two forms of signatures that can be used on the platform. The VLS 38112, which is, and ECD SDA based signatures, which is the standard public key, private key pair wallet signatures. Those signatures are the verification and validation of the statement. on chain. So when you attest or intend to attest to a schema, the deployer of the schema can have verification mechanisms before collecting your statement. And the stronger the authority, the stronger the proof for the statement. And that is pretty much how attestations work. So an authority could be a government, an authority could be a court of law, an authority could be a legal firm, an authority could be a notary, an authority could be an organization. For example, Coinbase can be an authority of an attestation. If you KYC on Coinbase, Coinbase could write an attestation on your behalf to verify that they know your age and that you are above 18 years of age, and they verify that you have a valid government identification. And so, although they have your ID information and your selfie information on the blockchain, they as an authority can sign the statement. We know Andrew is above 18 years of age or above 20 years of above 2025 based on what is required. We know Andrew has a valid government identity, and that statement is there on the blockchain as proof. Now, when other people want to onboard you to their platform, they can ask you, you could at least maybe have an attestation from one or two or three of these authorities to make it easier for us to assimilate you into our platform without having to deal with the compliance overhead, etc. Right? So that is just one simple example of how attestation authorities as a primitive play an important role in attestations. Yes.
So who comes first? Do you create the attestation and then authorities sign, or authorities need to exist? Authorities exist and then you create attestations that the authorities need to sign.
Exactly. Authorities exist first.
Interesting. Okay, so for agents, how do you see that conversation going for AI agents? Because I mean, like, we have AI agent, we are giving AI agents wallets right now, and several conversations around AI agents can become more autonomous. You're giving them a wallet. You want them to basically exist as their own thing. And then there's the idea of how do you trust, and attestations come up. So, what do you think about that? That narrative, that future?
Okay. I like this one because the AI agent narrative is probably one of the um parts where human beings become authorities in an attestation framework. Normally in the as it is today, authorities can be organizations or platforms, right? Platforms that exist can be an authority. It could be, a Uniswap can be an authority. SoilSwap can be an authority. If you have a platform, you have users, you can act as an authority of a statement to validate that you have checked, these checks and these balances. But with AI today one of the situations where we humans become the authority, because as a human being, you can deploy a spawn of AI agents. They can be 10, they can be 20, 50, 100, right? And now that we have AI agents acting on behalf of human beings, there has to be checks in place to verify that an AI agent has the rights, has the authorization to perform an activity on behalf of an individual. So the AI agent comes to my platform and says, I want to swipe Joshua's card. And I'm like, do you have the authorizations or claims to swipe Joshua's card? I know you have Joshua's card information. Somehow you have it. I don't know how you got it, but I need a statement that validates that Joshua has given you the right to swipe his card on any platform or on my platform. This is what happens. The AI agent is going to shop for you. It has been authorized to shop for you. When it goes to the shopping platform and it adds all those items to cart, the question becomes, do you have the authorization to add items above $10,000 to carts or not, right? This is where attestation comes in. It's like I've authorized this AI agent to spend at least 10K, 5K on my behalf, and you can do so at will, and go about on shopping platform, etc. So attestations not just become a statement, they become a binding statement that says, yes, these agents have the right claims, these agents have the authority, and yes, I, as an individual, I am the authority that gives this agent the capability to act on my behalf. And if this statement has been made by me on an immutable ledger, it is strong enough for the platform to accept it and say, yes, we verified the statement and we swipe the card and we process that payment. You go to your bank and say, no, I did not authorize the AI to swap my card. You're like, and the platform is like, no, we have an attestation that's, the statement that says, yes, this AI can swipe my card. Because if we do not have attestations and these guardrails in the future, when you file a dispute for an AI agent that swiped your card, willfully, yeah, sure, the AI agent got access to your card, but now it swiped your card as well. It becomes a problem for the platform because they are now saying, yes, the AI agent had your card information and we swiped it, right? And then the bank is like, yes, but my clients did not approve that spend, did not approve that budget, etc. And before you know it, platforms could be drowning in losses and disputes and chargebacks. So attestations as a primitive enable individuals to be authorities that give their AI agents the authorization to perform certain actions, to spend within a limit, to shop within a limit, to purchase stuff, to aggregate stuff, to sign transactions. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. And when you were talking about this, I could not just stop thinking about privacy and all. How do you, I mean, the blockchain is public and all that stuff, right?
It's
And you
transparent.
meant it's transparent. Transparency is not being public. Is that you? Why do you want to differentiate it? Yeah, yeah. Because I'm thinking we got this new meta from. I keep saying privacy is a very, very interesting conversation. And if you follow the wave, I've been seeing Ethereum is private. Even I think Vitalik mentioned something right now recently about privacy and stuff. And it's a recurring conversation I've seen in this space a while ago. And how do we attest and then things stay private? Is there a concept like that? Right.
Yes,
Because
there
I'm
is
I
a
think about that.
concept
I'm
like
thinking
that.
ZK, I'm thinking all that, but like what do you think about that? And how does Attest Protocol fit into that conversation?
Attest Protocol is the primitive layer for the statement. However, the statements can be cryptographic proofs, can be text-based statements clearly, or it can be other proofs that are zero knowledge. But the base primitive layer is this is a statement. However, you need whatever format you decide to define the statement at is bound by the schema, the attestation schema. So if the attestation schema requires a cryptographic proof, then a cryptographic proof will be supplied as the statement, right? And it gives you room to play around as you want. The difference between zero knowledge and pure cryptographic proofs is that zero knowledge are probability-based proofs, and cryptographic proofs are pretty much like static, right? So a zero knowledge in itself is like a probability that there is a 0.5% chance this statement is true based on certain proofs, right? And a cryptographic proof means if you give me the hash, the sort, and the statement, and the
Yeah.
other person has the hash, the sort, and the statement, we will get the same exact result, right? So, however you choose to represent your proof is left to you. But the attestation provides you with the primitive to record those proofs. Remember, authorities, attestations, schemas. This primitive allows you to do anything.
Anything. Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. So Attest Protocol is an interesting one. And I'm just curious, how long have you been working on, and when can people start using it? Or is it open to everybody to start using it right now?
So we are currently in the audit phase for mainnet. We should be finalized soon, so anybody can play around with it and
It's
giddy up.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
mainnet will be
Soon, soon,
what
soon.
network? Okay.
So right now, yeah, soon, but we're
So okay.
releasing the mainnet on the Stellar blockchain, which is a Rust-based blockchain, very fast, and has a lot of financial um, powers a lot of financial use cases in emerging markets, which are prime targets for attestations, prime targets for KYC as well. And we do have goals to launch into other blockchains, specifically Rust-based blockchains at the moment, since this is where our core expertise lies. And that conversation is
Yeah,
it's on a pin on its own, but right now we're focused on building and deploying on the Stellar blockchain.
blockchain. Because I was curious as to, um, I know ENS. I know we're pretty close. We're pretty close with ENS. Not ENS. Ethereum attest EAS, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I also know another like attestation provider that is, I think each sign. This will be my last
Mm-hmm.
question in this regard. I have other questions, but this will be my last question about Attest Protocol. What would you say
Mm-hmm.
is? I know you recognize these competitors. I would maybe not call them competitors. What is
Mm-hmm.
the at what level are you playing that you feel like is the edge or is the moat for Attest Protocol, or what the problem you are facing, that the problem you're solving, that you feel like these guys are, you can have that over them, so to say,
The modes vary. Modes could be on the first layer of modes is what blockchain are you building on, right? The primitive, because blockchains are like cities, and each one having their mayors and their prime minister, etc. So your modes could be like, I am building the best city ever, which means I picked the right blockchain for it. So I'm like building on the best blockchain platform to power this. There's cheap, efficient, fast, etc. That's like first level modes. Second level modes could be then the design of the framework or the infrastructure in itself. But when you look at design and framework, we actually try to match the given system across every other platform, because when you design infrastructure and primitives, you think about it as like the W3C. You see, all browsers exist today. You have Chrome, you have Firefox, you have Ladybird, you have Arc, and the rest of them. But they all adhere to the same primitives and standards that enable you support, the interoperability of web URLs, features across websites, etc. So when designing a primitive like attestations, the why modes are a good thing. Compatibility is a very key function, because you want to build systems that can adapt across the various blockchains and cities, that maintain the same primitive, that are reusable as well in the same manner. And eventually, when there is a standardization across the industry, everybody can also maintain the same standard, because that is that is the burden you have to bear for building such a platform. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, thanks so much for. I'm happy that we got to do this. I have like some questions I want to ask, but they're not Attest Protocol questions. They're
I
more
see.
about AI stuff. Uh, do you use any AI tool that you feel like, one special AI tool that you use that you feel like um not so many people know about, but is a game changer for you? I'm asking everybody, so I'm expecting an answer for everybody.
We have our AI boss lady on the call.
Yeah, this is meant to be like the fun one before we call the. I think we're about like 50 minutes into the session, so
Mm. We have AI boss lady on the call, Madam Mercy.
Don't do that.
anybody can go first.
I'll
Honestly,
say for me of recent. Okay, for me of recent, it's been the ChatGPT Atlas. That's the web browser. I know it's
Hmm.
pretty new, but I've you know
I haven't
I've been
installed it.
stuck on it
What do you think
since
about it?
its launch. Yeah,
How is it different from every other one that you've
yeah.
used?
It's okay for me. It's something that I've been looking forward to. Like, yeah, OpenAI is going to have a browser, and finally came out.
Yeah, I mean Perplexity have theirs. I don't think I'm ready to change any of my things right now because like I don't know, like everybody's wrapping Chrome, so like at the end of the day, you're using Chrome. So Andrew, what is that
Interesting.
for you?
I've never tried ChatGPT Atlas yet. I'm not sure what interesting use case it
Pretty
probably
much
drives.
you can chat with any website. You can tell it to do something for you, and then for a short period of time, it can take over your mouse cursor and click things around. And then also whatever thing you chat with kind of shows up in your
Yeah.
ChatGPT account. So I don't like that though,
Hmm,
but like I mean I never even switched up to
interesting.
Dia. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it might be worth trying the ChatGPT Atlas because we are getting lazier. It's crazy. Because sorry to say this, before we used to think in Stack Overflow and code blocks. Like let's
Man,
even talk about. We used to think in Stack
man.
Overflow and code blocks. You have to think about code in chunks of blocks and whether you're going to copy or rewrite or transform or from scratch. And then we started thinking in prompts. So it's now you no longer think about code blocks, you think about one large file as a
You
prompt.
just give it to oh my god. I the switch, it's crazy because it's like it's subtle over time, and then before you realize it, the only time I open like I
Just
opened I there was an issue I was having recently, and I kind of searched it on Google because the AI kept failing. Like I've tried it like 10 times and it kept failing. Then I went, okay, let me check Google. And I saw the
Yeah,
question, and I apparently got the answer from Stack Overflow in that case, but that was like one in like 10 times we're about to debug stuff. So
yeah.
it's
And
it's
it
a
doesn't
switch.
help that everyone is vibe coding. ChatGPT launched the apps platform and an SDK. And so you have to
Yeah,
consider it's primitively new. It's like new. And there is no AI that has ingested all of that data yet or documentation on how the platform works. So things like that, you still have to like debug.
yeah,
And it's painful because everyone has gotten used to debugging with AI. There is no longer support for developers. Like if you ever catch yourself at the bleeding edge, you are alone.
yeah, alone, yeah. Because like
Yeah, you're
except I don't know how often they ingest stuff. So but I mean, if it continues like this, where is the new data? The new data? Everybody's regurgitating what has been ingested previously.
Yes. And it's probably risky for open source. I'll tell you that because the open source ethos is built around contributing, reusing stuff people made. But with AI, there is not a general need for composability. You see, that your open source library can be rewritten by an AI inside of my code, removing the parts of your library I don't need, removing the abstractions I don't need, and I have what I need from your library right here in my code, right? So you have to realize that what happens is open source in itself as a construct could suffer because that's all this library was so well written. That's whole thing where humans appreciate code because of how beautiful it
it's
was
not
written.
anymore.
No
Yes,
one
it's
cares,
not.
man.
No
No
one
one cares,
cares.
man. I literally saw someone port over
Okay.
an entire library from Python with clock code in like couple prompts. Like he just say port this over to TypeScript, and then he deployed it to npm. I mean, I'm like,
Literally.
okay, interesting.
Yep.
So, what's that tool for you? What's that AI tool for you that you use right now that you feel like it's helpful for your work? Not too many people know about it. You want to shield on that alpha. You don't have to
Well,
be. It doesn't have to be a
people.
special idiom one. You can just share whichever one you use.
Yeah, because it's Claude.
It's Claude.
Yeah,
Claude
it's
or Claude
Claude.
Code.
Hmm. Claude and Claude Code lately, Um, actually, Claude and Claude Code.
Cloud and Cloud Code. For me, I
Yeah,
think that would be like I think I'll have the same combination as well. And
yeah.
Cloud and Cloud Code, honestly, because I used to previously, if I have a new thing I'm working on, I first go to ChatGPT and talk. But right now, I don't know. I prefer going to Claude first. For some weird reason, I feel like Claude is the technical person, and that's very
Yeah,
much
Mm,
influenced by the Sonnet thing, the Sonnet 4.5 in my head, like for
yeah.
some weird reason. Yeah, so that would be
Also,
like
don't
my
forget,
go-to.
it's also lingua. We are learning how to talk to these things. We are not realizing that we are being trained. So when you think Claude is better for you, what you're indirectly saying is, I have actually learned how to speak Claude.
To Claude. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. I have to catch myself sometimes. I'm like, okay, open ChatGPT instead. Not because I feel like Claude won't do it, but because sometimes I realize that I have so much context on ChatGPT that it knows some of the ways I do things that Claude needs to be taught every single time because of I don't use it as much previously. Right.
Mm.
So
Messi
thanks so
wants
much
to say
for
something.
yeah, I was
Messi
okay.
going to
what?
say that for me, anything coding has always been Claude. Like anything that has to do with technical stuff has always been Claude for me. I mean, I use Claude like a couple of days. I don't know if I should say this. I used Claude a couple of days. Claude and the Figma MCP to build out
Hmm.
an entire Figma design. I mean, several pages in less than 3 minutes. So yeah, Claude for coding anytime.
Figma MCP. That's an alpha, guys.
Yo,
Yeah,
for
I've
real.
seen Figma MCP do but quite a good number of stuff. So I I I'm not as
Quick,
shocked as I should
quick,
be, but
quick
it's impressive to
question,
see it.
Mercy.
Yeah.
Was it the
Okay,
developer mode? Was it the Figma dev mode? Was it in
yeah,
Figma dev mode?
yeah, in the Figma
Okay,
dev mode.
I
And you
will
just
try
take the
that.
entire thing and clean up whatever you want on Claude Code. Perfect
Bro,
combo.
All right.
laziness pro max. Okay.
It's so many things are changing, and that is why like this conversation around attestation and verifying stuff is pretty much important because we're going to have much of this autonomous stuff happening, and AI agents are getting smarter. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we are talking about giving
Mm-hmm.
AI agents wallets. Lots of conversation around X402, which I am very,
Mm-hmm.
very interested in. I'm paying attention and close to it. Right. So,
Is it possible to ask you a quick question on X402? Like,
oh
what
yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
please, please.
Like if
What
for
is the
dummies,
question?
what is X402 for dummies?
Okay. So you know how sometimes names make things more complex than they are. That is the
Yeah.
situation that we have right here. So X402, don't think about it as X402. Think about it like the internet is trying to figure out a way that payments can be made without you having to use a credit card or a debit card. So you
Mm,
know the way you have when you're building an app or when you're working when you're using an app and you see error 404, everybody pretty much
yeah.
knows that error 404 means something is not found. Like you, that's where you
Yes.
usually see it. When you try to access something, you see 404, it means not found. And most people don't see this part, but the way you have 404 for not found is the same way you have 200 for success, right? When you see 200, it means success. Apparently, there's also 402, and that means payment required. If you check the documentation for the web, it's actually one of the status code that has been there. It's hidden, nobody's using it. It means payment required. It means that whatever you're trying to access is behind a paywall, right? So when you say 404 not found, you say 200 success, you say 504 for one other status response. That's the same way you have 402 for payment required. So that means whatever you're requesting for requires payment. So that's where the name comes from. But when you talk about the flow, 402 has to like when you request for something online and it
Mm-hmm.
requires payments.
Yeah.
Coinbase has done, they've built a protocol around it, whereas instead of just saying, oh, it requires payment, they can actually help you process that payment. And what happens is the moment you make a request the first time, oh, There isn't 4022 gatekeep this API or to gatekeep this AI agent wants to access something and that thing requires payment. Coinbase now built something whereas once it requires payments and the response you get back is not just 402 now. They've embellished that 402 with some details like how much that thing you're trying to access will cost. So when you get, oh, give me this data, when the request comes back and say you need to pay, alongside that you need to pay, it's telling you how much you need to pay. That means the person that told you that you need to pay for it has added how much it costs to access this. So that when you
Yeah.
get that payment of how much you need to pay, they've built tools around it that will now retry that request with
Mm.
the amounts they will have deducted that money from your own wallet. So practically you can give your AI agent its own wallet. So that's another thing that is, I don't want to go deeper into that, but there's a way you
Yeah.
can give your AI agent its own wallet that it will now try to pay for that stuff and then try that request again, right? And then this
So
time it
this
will go, right?
this over HTTP.
Over HTTP, like no subscription, nothing. Like it unlocks several things. The only complex thing I see about like this all is all around crypto and every other thing is when we start talking about real life use case and how it
Yeah.
transcends beyond just technical gymnastics to like people actually using this stuff and they can follow along. Like right now, X402 requires crypto, right? And there are several people that are trying to solve that layer where you're not dealing with crypto part of it. But like crypto, how much of that can you hide and makes it as simple as possible, right? Because now, if you're dealing with X402, you need to sign transactions so I can remove the money and actually access an API. Imagine every time you want to
Yeah.
access an API, you have to do that. Or if you are giving your AI agent a wallet, you will not see that part, but there's so many things to be considered in this conversation. But the idea behind X402 is payments over HTTP without subscription, and it actually happens through crypto. And this is exciting because, like,
Stateless.
exactly, like it happens with crypto. I mean, Google literally is looking into this. Cloudflare is launching a stable coin. These are all conversations that like get me excited because like we are seeing an
They're
actual
launching a stable coin or a token. A stable
Cloudflare
coin.
is launching a stable coin, bro. They
Okay.
literally have a website. They are launching a stable coin, their own stables backed fiat, man. It's so many players. Visa, MoneyGram, they're all looking into this. MoneyGram is looking into this. So that's why like all this attestation thing is a timely conversation. So I'm looking forward to
Agreed.
to the mainnet launch, and we are looking forward to having you guys come and use Attest Protocol. And
Yes.
I any last words for the audience? I know we've gone back and forth and I've crossed over into another conversation, but it's something I'm excited to talk about. Um, any last words before we end the stream? I think we are quite beyond time, right?
Here we're at 58 minutes in. Like so.
Okay. Any last words? Mercy, Andrew, any last thing, any last pointers, any last call out? What do you want your audience to do? Do you want them to check something out or how should they keep up with you and any of that?
You can follow Attest on Twitter. Would always drop any info there, and stay tuned for when we officially launch.
Okay. All right. All right. Andrew,
It's,
anyone from you? Same, same. All right. Okay.
you heard the lady. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for catching this live stream. We got to talk about attestations, we got to talk about Attest Protocol, and we also met the builders of this protocol, and they've shared all about that with you. Why you should consider this, and is an important part of what the next future would be, and attestations generally, and AI agents and all this stuff. This is not the end of the conversation. You can always check our test protocol on Twitter. And I think they will drop the links to all the socials in the chat so that we can show them on screen as well. And also you can check out web3africa.com. We are always hosting this workshop so that we can get you up to date with what builders are cooking. And we have our website where you can keep track of all the activities we are doing. That's at web3africa.com. And if you want to be in a workshop series like this, there's a web that we're going to share. Subscribe to our newsletter, and we have a form that you can fill, that you can signify your interest to be part of the workshop series like this. We are always happy to have you come and talk about what you're building, and any ways to enable builders, you can find us there. All right, so thank you so much for being part of this. That was a very long monologue, but thank you so much. I appreciate this. And that is the end of the stream. See you on the next one, guys.
Okay, cheers. Bye.